probably 45 minutes. That's what I'm guessing. We will walk through each of the slides that you have provided, and we will lay grounds on what we need to do over the next session. Okay, and this session in terms of lecture and the next session in terms of work is the most critical. Okay, and hopefully we are able to get that right. So here is what we did, and I will also go through, as I said, we will recap, we will move through current session theory, and then we will go through the practicals that we did from the last session, that is some of your slides, fine tune it, and then lay grounds for what is expected in the next week for presentation. So this is what we discussed. We said, number one, there are a lot of things that we do in a day, that we lot of goals that we have, but not all goals have the same level of impact on your super goal. Okay, whatever your super goal that is chosen, right? So the art is to select a few but very highly impactful set of goals. Okay, do not believe in multitasking. Okay, that is do not believe at all in your multitasking. I mean, simply no. Shorten your goal sets. Number two, once you have selected them, okay, write the goals in a manner that lends itself to two criteria. One is from where to where, okay, and then by what time. Okay, this is the one way of selecting your what we call as the alpha whys. We said there are many goals. Why? In the sense, I'm picking this up because I'm beginning from my original introductory lecture where I said y is equal to alpha plus beta 1 x1 plus beta 2 x2 and so on, where x is in some sense cos the y, and y therefore is your goals. You could have several goals, okay, and of all your several goals, you choose a few, and most importantly, you choose, to focus just on those, not trust multitasking, and write it in this way, from here to where and by what time. Now, once your whys are chosen, okay, next is to move on and do something. Okay, that is, of course, there is some property. One of the properties here is that alpha whys come in several names: the lag variable, the predicted variable, the influenced variable, and so on. The most important point about the whole thing is there is no control over it. You cannot control whys. That is a sad fact of our life. For example, if you say, I'm going to control sales, you cannot control sales. You cannot control investment coming up, right? You cannot control valuation. These are all some very large goals that you cannot control. I mean, can anybody in the team let me know why we think that this cannot be controlled? Just curious. Are people can join me in this discussion? What do I say that this cannot be controlled? What is the reason why we think that this cannot be controlled at all? I'm saying a big word, right? Sales cannot be controlled. Your investment, quantum of investment cannot be controlled. None of these are in your control. So why would we think that this is not in your control?
Because we are not the only stakeholders involved in this activity.
Okay, that is good. We are not involved. We are not the only people involved. Okay, but okay, I understand. I get it. But there is more to it. Think deeper. Think deeper, which is what will lay grounds for the upcoming session, right? So what I'm trying to say is we cannot control sales, okay? Because that's an outcome, okay? It's an outcome of something that we do, right? So I will explain this more as we go by, right? So for example, look at this. This is what we decided finally. Just let me... So this is what we said, okay? And remember the overall thing of the idea, right? We said this is the overarching goal, okay, which is your this thing. Then each lag measure, A to B by when, is a subcomponent of several lag measures. And then one lag measure in it you take, okay, which is the one that I have squared out. are led by some lead measures, right? So measure A to B by when, but then they are influenced or affected by or influenced in some sense by some lead measures, right? So in some sense, the lag measure or your alpha Ys are actually what you want to do. Okay. On the other hand, the lead measures are something which tells you how you will achieve it. Okay. Now we are going to focus in this section. Session 2 is all about the lead measures, the one that you can control, right? So let me go ahead. Lag measure is a measures the alpha Ys. It's extremely important point, right? It measures the alpha Ys, and then the lead measures are predictive. Okay, measures the behavior or the actions or the parameters that leads to the alpha Ys. It is the only thing that you can influence. Okay, and you cannot influence Ys. You can only influence what leads to the alpha Ys. So let me give you an example. Your goal is to slim. Let us say that's your alpha Y. Okay, which is measured, remember, the alpha Y by the weight. Okay, now you cannot control your weight directly. What you can control, okay, is weight reduction or weight increase is not in your hands. But what is in your hands is your calories intake or your calories outtake, which is your exercise. Right? This is a critical point that I want to say here, right? Please understand, this looks like a very, very simple point, but very commonsensical also. After having met hundreds of performing teams, this one doesn't sit very well in people's heads, right? It's a most uncommon insight that I will tell you, right? It looks very apparent, but it is not. Please bear with it. Bear with me for some time. So what I'm trying to say is this: the weight is not in your control. Okay, sales is not in your control. But what you can control is your calories and calories out. Okay, so let me give you a startup experience that we did about 2.5 years ago. Right, 2.5 years ago, we started I had one of my companies do a AI computer vision startup. Right, so we had the first product that we started out was what is called a handwritten check reader. Okay, so the idea was to give, as of date, the way the banks work is that banks, take in all the handwritten checks or even printed checks. There is a team that transcribes the key data, like the date, the pay name, the account number, the amount in words, the amount in number, and match the signature from the core banking. So we wanted to actually automate it using computer vision. We had initially started, the whole point was that we couldn't even get ourselves to saying, let's say 98% accuracy. We needed to be completely accurate. Right? And we needed to take out a minimum viable product out to the market. Now, when we looked at minimum viable product, what is going to come through? Right? We said, okay, it should be highly accurate. That's very clear. We allowed ourselves a target of 98% accuracy. So first is that we converted a check reader, okay, into a measurable Y of 98%. At that point in time in the beginning, we were around 60, 62, 63%. Right? That was what it was in the beginning. So we wanted to travel from 62% accuracy to 98% accuracy. And now we knew what will lead to that. Okay. The 4 points that we have brought down, I want to purposefully hide. I have purposefully hidden 2 very important points because it's quite confidential to us. So I have not put them here. But I put down some of them which makes possibly logical sense to you. We need to train. This is a CNN RNN algorithm. Okay. So this is on AI. So we needed to train on some sample checks. Okay. The way it works is that you feed the reading engine lots of images of actual checks which are filled, and then computer vision algorithms is based on CNN read them. Okay. And it needs to be, previously it would be annotated. Okay. So for example, on the date column, somebody would annotate it. This is the date and the value, then the name, you would have annotated and printed a name. and amount they would have transcribed it as this and that. So each value that are more and more important are paired. Okay, so paired with actual numbers. So there is a team of annotation guys who operated out of our office who take each check and start writing what those values are. And once we have those values which are annotated, and then when the number of checks trained goes up, as a quantum of checks trained goes up, we were hoping that our accuracies will go up. That's because it would encounter a larger and larger number of actual idiosyncrasies in the population. To give you one very simple way of explaining this is, in South, for example, people will write 4 like this, right? I mean, 4 is written like this. Most people write 4 like this. But we found out that in North, people write 4 like this, right? Which is like a Hindi pa. Okay, Hindi pa is how they write it. But then our algorithms have never faced that kind of a 4 in handwriting. It started floundering. So we needed to feed the system with diverse sample sizes. So we had to procure, or we somehow needed to procure real mock checks or real checks or something. And then we had to annotate those fields. And then the most important thing was the number of codes written, lines of codes written. And then more importantly, we found out that there were some 50-55 articles in handwritten accuracies, right, that our team needed to master. So we wrote how many articles would have been read each week by the coding team, right, or the team that was actually doing the data science job. So we made that as a function of number of articles read each week, number of lines of code and week by week targets, and then number of fields annotated by the annotation team, and then the number of checks trained each week. Once we completed this, we had a time of some 2.5 months to do all this input work. And naturally, by the end of it, our accuracy moved up. It didn't go to 98, but we were happy that we were at least not at 62%. So the idea behind the accuracy is that 98% per se is not controllable by us. That 62 is not. We need to sit and think, what are the 4, 5, 6 major lead variables which will influence or predict the Y variables, the alpha variables that we are setting out. Okay. So getting those things in or what is important, right? So that is what it is. So for example, in weight, calories and ins and outs, right? So for example, in Nirman, let us say Nirman, if it has the goal of successful startups, not just startups, I want a startup ecosystem which is, having lots of nice, like bunch of eager, passionate guys. We would be wanting to, do some incubation work at IITM, pre-incubation cell or whatever. If that goal were not just that, but let us say the goal was successful startup, and I'm just defining successful startup as a percentage of angel funded startups. Okay, so let us say today it is 40%. I don't even know the real numbers. Okay, I don't even know the real numbers. Let us say today, out of 100 startups that have been registered in the last year or last 6 months or 1 year, whatever that period, let us say 40 of them got angel funding. The question is, how can we improve this 40% to something like 90% or 95%? That's the goal. The moment you start thinking from here to where by what time, let us say the goal of Nirman were to be, I want to increase number of angel funded startup from 40% to 90% by end of December or 1 year from now or whatever the value is. Then the question that the management team needs to start asking is, what will be the activities done every week that will lead to that? And now you will ask the question, JK, what is this? How can you even be thinking in terms of how those things work? I mean, I am very reasonably certain it is just a matter of sitting and pointing towards what will really influence angel funded startup as a success metric. What should I do? Probably it will be the kind of incubation that will happen. For example, what sectors one needs to focus on, or what could be, for example, reporting mechanisms that should come on, and so on and so forth. I really don't know. But one must, if one sits and thinks of metrics, right? So that the parameters that will do that, I think one will very clearly start improving the angel funded. I just put question mark because that's all something one needs to sit and think, because this question was put across to me some time ago and I started thinking, okay, what could be the set of input variables that will greatly lead to this thing. Now the check accuracy thing, believe me, 3 years ago when we were starting, we were a 2-member team. That means 2 engineers, 3 founders, that's all. Okay, it was that small a startup. We wanted to just develop a product. Now Check Reader is now a viable product with customers. We have already cleared 1 million checks automatically. Right? I mean, it has the ability to, and there are paying customers also now. Okay, so let me ask you one question. So now we know exercise leads to weight loss, right? What is so revolutionary in this thought? Can anybody tell me what the hell, JK? Don't tell me all this bullcrap. We all know that exercising leads to weight loss, or less intake of food leads to weight loss. But what is so earth-shaking about this? Now, this is the crux. This understanding is the crux of your startup journey. This is the crux of your execution excellence. Can anybody in the team now try at it? What is the real thing that we are talking here? You know that if you eat less, you will lose weight. Or if you exercise more, you will lose weight. What is revolutionary in the context of execution excellence? Anybody?
Committing to do both the diet and exercise.
Pardon?
Committing our commitment on doing those.
I didn't understand. So what does commitment mean? I mean, we are all committed to that, no? That is nothing revolutionary about it. What do we mean by commitment here? There is nothing we do usually we are not committed. Okay, so we are committed. There is nothing revolutionary about this. Honestly speaking, everyone knows that if you diet and exercise more, your weight will come down.
I think the motivation to keep on exercising, the moment you stop it, it's going to
good, but no, that is not the answer in the context of our lecture. Please understand.
Okay.
But in the context of our execution excellence lecture, that is
constantly execute it, right? You have to constantly exercise in order to
exactly. You should constantly exercise, constantly eat less. But that is still not the point. What is the real point?
So we don't know for how much exercise that per kilogram will reduce.
Exactly. Beautiful. Who is saying that? Adil, what team are you in?
Blink.
Blink, you got the point you got the exact point. It is not the idea of knowing exercising or your diet will lead to lesser weight. The idea is measuring how much you're eating, measuring how much you're exercising each week that leads to the reduction in weight. Please remember this. Measurement, right? It is the measurement that leads to the construct of reduction. If you don't measure, you will not be knowing what is happening. Okay, so can you elaborate more, Adil, on what we mean by it? What we mean by measuring the inputs? Can you go ahead and explain this more a bit?
So I think for each session of exercise, we have to measure how much calories is burned by a single session.
Yeah, sure. How does your week look like? I mean, if you, I'm just wanting you guys to imagine a Excel sheet now, okay? So with the top rows mentioning week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6, okay? So row number one is for those. Row number 2, you're writing on the left diet, okay? On row number 2, you're writing exercise. Now what are we measuring every week?
How much calorie deficit that you can make
Okay.
For this much intake of food, how much are you burning away considering your daily requirement?
Sure, that is exercising. So each week you will measure, for example, what is the total calories you took in. Okay. So possibly you will say, okay, today I had so many calories of food. Okay. That means you can say in calories or in grams or some conversion, you have to put the calories eaten in week 1. Let us say, I'm just putting a wild number. I don't even know how much calories these things take. Let us say you ate on week 1, 15,000 calories. Okay. And you exercised, right? Some vigorous workout or whatever you did for 10 hours. Okay. That's on week 1. Okay. And your goal is in about 6 months, you want to reduce 10 kilos. Okay. So right now you're in, let's say 75. You want to bring it down to 65 in 10 weeks. Okay. So goal today 75, goal 10 weeks down the line 65. Input parameter number 1, week 1, you have eaten 15,000 calories of food and you have exercised for 10 hours. Now, can you tell me what will be your plan for week 2, week 3, week 4?
So I think we could increase the calories burned by exercise and then decreasing the calories that we consume from our food.
Yeah.
And then,
so the point is you must understand that there is some minimum calories below which you cannot go. Okay, then your muscle starts eating. So possibly you should be able to bring 15,000 down to possibly about 10,000 calories. Okay. These are all make-believe numbers. Don't hold me responsible. I'm just trying to give you a construct. So 15,000 to 10,000 calories in about, let's say, 5 weeks, right? You bring it down and keep it steady. When you start exercising, you're done 10 hours of exercise, that has to go up, correct? That has to go up where your burn is measured, okay? Now, the day your intake is lower than the outtake, measured in calories burnt, you will start reducing weight week on week. And you will even know when you are going to hit 65. Okay, and remember one very, very important point here. This is the most important point I'm trying to tell you besides measurement. Let us say the goal was not 65 kilos, but 45 kilos, right? Your entire input variable changes, right? You cannot anymore do, for example, gradual reduction in calories intake and gradual uptake of exercising increase. You need to do something else altogether. I don't know what, but the choice of your techniques or your rigor of your technique changes. So for example, 75 to 45, not in 10 weeks, but let us say on 8 weeks or 10 or 12 weeks or 20 weeks, then your way you will formulate the entire process will change. So what I'm trying to tell you is this. There are two things, and that is what is the most important lesson of today's, right? The point I'm trying to make is this. From where to where, that is point A to point B of your alpha, okay? By what time? That goes in as a sort of parameter for deciding what your input variables are, and also the measurement of those input variables each week, right? Each week, what you need to do will depend upon the severity of the change in Y. What I mean by, if you're all engineers, we're all understanding that the delta Y, okay, The delta y determines the security of your X's, right? How much you have to make each week happen. Now remember, it is not knowing dieting and weight loss decreases weight, okay? Or diet and your exercises lead to weight loss. There is nothing profound in it. What is profound in it is your ability to measure. Okay, the ability to fanatically determine what your X's are. Okay, the ability to measure it week on week, what I should be doing, and then following up on that plan week on week. Okay, is the execution excellence. Remember, people who are actually losing weight are those people who are actually measuring all these things, right? In some sense or the other, they are measuring it. Okay, so they may not be doing it accurately. There may be some fanatism, but when it comes to these settings, corporate settings or technology settings or sales settings or marketing settings, the input variable needs to be carefully selected depending upon the severity of your X, Y's, change in Y, and then you need to be able to measure it. If you cannot measure your X's, which is what is the only thing you can do, and remember, only thing in your control. The weight per se is not in your control, but diet is in your control, exercising is in your control. The moment you are able to exercise, right, X hours or X plus delta X hours or X plus 2X hours or whatever, I don't even want to specify those things. And you have a plan week on that. Similarly, diet. Okay, I ate 4 chapatis. Now I'm going to bring it down to 3 chapatis. Now after that, 2 chapatis, and after that, 1 chapati. I will increase the quantity of vegetables that I was taking from, let us say, 1 cup to 1.5 cups to 2 cups to then I will add kales to it. All those things, part of your plan, weekly plan, determines your weight loss. Determines your weight loss. Measuring your input variable alone leads to the change in your output variable. The more important point, it is only the input variables that are in your control. The output variables are not in your control. Don't even think that you can control what output variable, right? So, for example, I remember, this is a serious point, right? So, we wanted to have a target of 350 crores in matrimony.com. So Muruga will come down and tell everyone in the plan. Muruga Veljanikram, the owner, founder, right? I mean, these are all very early days before we started looking at execution excellence and all those things. He would come and say, hey, this is easy. Guys, 350 crores is just a little over a crore each day. We can do it. And at that point in time, possibly the organization was in 10 lakhs or 15 lakhs a day, right? Everyone blinked. Okay, that is not the way to look at input variables. Okay, breaking down your sales numbers into different ways of conceptually putting that, but is not the why. Y's are different. Okay, sorry, X's are different. Okay, breaking 350 crores, it is just little over 1 crore each day is not your X. Okay, that is not your X. I mean, that is just differently formulating the problem. Okay, it is not. So what I'm trying to tell you is, when you are looking at an equation in business like y is equal to alpha plus beta 1 x1, and where your y is your reduction in weight and x is the diet, okay, the food intake, and x2 is the, let's say, your hours exercised, you clearly know that you are looking at controllable variables, right? Unless you don't have a controllable variable in your hand. Okay, for example, hours of codes written, or lines of codes written, or number of articles read, or number of checks trained, or so on and so forth. There is nothing you can do to get to the output. Okay, sometimes we will just be doing work which we think is important, but may not be important at all. Right? So you have to understand this from the point of view of the profundity lies in measuring the input variable, measuring, right? So this is how I'm going to measure it. This is how I'm going to change that variable week on week or perform week on week. This will lead to the increase or the attainment of your Y variable. Okay. I'll just pause at this moment. Any questions? I'm happy to take, because this is the crux of our discussion till now. Right? So, any questions, please ask. Yeah. I'll stop sharing. I would like to just request every team to. Okay, that's something about. Yes. Yes, sirs. Any questions on this idea? It will sound very simple. I can tell you this is the most uncommon idea that I have. The simplicity belies the fact that not many people understand it so well. Right. So, what else?
Sir, I had a question.
Yeah, please.
So, not every quantity can be easily quantified. So,
Not every.
quantity can be easily quantified. Like some are easy, some are very difficult. Some
True.
even don't know how to do. So,
True.
in that case, how easy?
I agree, Gino. You are absolutely right. You are absolutely right. But understand one thing. It is only difficult or easy, but it is not impossible. Remember, all activity, all goals are done only by action. Okay? And you can always measure action. How is a matter of difficulty, but it's not impossible. Okay? I would like to, in the last 25 years of execution methodologies, I'm yet to come across a parameter that has no measurable lead metric, okay, or your excess, right? But it cannot be measured at all. No, how? I mean, the very fact that you require action is measurable. The fact that the number of hours you put on thinking about a problem itself is measurable. Right? If you do more hours or less hours, your output goals will change. Your attainment of those goals will change, right? So, difficult to measure, I agree. But impossible, I don't agree. There is nothing in the world which has an X there is no X and it's difficult to measure. I mean, it's impossible to measure. Any other question? You can come back. Okay. Can you tell me what could be the causal variable or the predictor variables for my given goal? I don't seem to be coming to a grip at it. So can you please let me know what, I mean, that we can discuss, okay? But saying not measurable, very difficult, right? I mean, I don't think a situation like that exists.
Sir, actually, I have one, need some clarification that
Yes.
X we are fixing. Suppose even that X also, it is some of the X or it is not even our control. Let's say I can give some examples. Suppose in this kind of diet I want to follow, but I couldn't get that kind of diet. Suppose I need that vegetable, that kind of vegetable will, reduce my intake, but I couldn't get. How I can correlate within my work? I want to meet with this client. If this client is available, maybe I can get some lead and I can get one sales there. Now one number I can increase. But due to that client's availability, I couldn't get. It is still keep postpone is happening. Like they are saying next week, then next month. Like it is keep on going. But my X is once I want to fix the meeting with them. If once I conveyed my product and I satisfied with what they want, then I can have a confidence. Okay, I can sell it. But even that meeting itself keep postpone is happening. So in that case, how we can do that one?
Very good question. It's a very excellent question. I have an answer for it because these are situations that I have faced through all my life. Okay, all my life. Even today I faced it. So it is not that we haven't faced any of these challenges. I know the answer. Anybody else can want to attempt that answer. I'm very happy to take the discussion. Anybody else wants to answer Karthi of Nikoto? Anybody else wants to answer him?
Sir, I think most of them will be facing the same issue, so maybe they are looking to you for an answer.
No, I understand. But remember, there is a saying in Tamil, okay? There is a saying in Tamil goes like this. Solli kudutha vaarthayum katti kudutha sorum konja naal da varum. Okay, what is this? I think a few people who understand Tamil will immediately pick it up. What it means is this. An enlightening word and a packed lunch has a date on it. It will only come for certain time. Okay, so what it means is that you need to start figuring out answers yourself, right? But anyway, here is the clue for all those things. Here is one clue, especially at least for the sales conundrum that you're talking about, meeting not possible, right? The way we have solved it is very simple. I mean, this is something which we encountered in telesales, for example, right? So in telesales, okay, it is one of the toughest sales businesses that you can understand, especially selling insurance. Do you know, to get one customer in a standard insurance pitch on a cold call? Remember, as a cold call is a caller who is being paid some 5,000, 6,000 rupees, calls a list of customers from a phone book. Okay. All they do is call and say, I am calling from this insurance company. Do you want an insurance, a life insurance or some product they will pitch? Correct? Do you know how many calls they have to make to get one sale? Anybody here can tell me? Anybody, just lay a guess on it. Just lay a guess on how many calls they have to make, how many new cold calls they have to make to get to one sales.
50?
200, excellent. Kitab, yeah, that's actually the number. About 200 to 300 calls they have to make. And then after connecting with the call, they need to do several follow-ups to make one sale. Okay. So that is 199 no's they are going to listen. 199 no's. 199 bang downs. Possibly 50% won't even lift your call because it is 044, some random number. They are not even going to lift the call. So the answer to you is, if one customer says, no, I don't have time for interview, you need to just keep multiplying the number of hits that you need to, the doors that you need to knock. Okay. I know you have seen this in a lot of these videos, right? So there are these New York apartments which have some 100, 150 floors, right? And the kids want to enter. I'm sure people who have seen Big Bang Theory also would have noticed this. So these kids want to, just enter the building. All they do is just press all the 150, call buttons. They will button, somebody will open. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that kind of a crude mechanism, but if you know that your open rates on interviews with your customers are low, the only way you can progress in sales is by expanding the number of customers you need to call. Okay, or the number of people who you need to reach has to go up phenomenally. Okay, possibly you will not be as problematic as 1 in 200. Possibly you will be able to get one interviews or pitch session opened in 1 in 20, possibly 1 in 25. So you need to listen to 24 no's, 24 I don't care, don't write to me, who are you, who the hell, wait in my office for 6 hours. I have done that. When I was guys like you, I was in Siemens Limited. I was in the sales team trying to sell projects to various customers. Customers used to, and those days is not email, phone thing, right? Only physical visits will go. Nobody will give appointment. You can't even write, sir, can we meet at this point, or nothing. You just do cold call of visiting, not a call. It is visit. We will visit for days. We will just be waiting outside in the room without even audience. But we knew the trick in conversion was multiplying the number of customers we reached out to. One guy will open, latch on. That is the way. Then you need 4, okay, and your ratio is 1 in 20. Okay. Atik, the question to you. If 1 in 20 led to an interview, okay, or a pitch session with a customer, if you wanted 4 interviews, how many customers should you reach out to? Atik? Are you there?
Yes. Hello.
How many do you need to reach?
Let's suppose like we have tried around eight customer.
Yeah, go ahead. So 8 customers, 0. Okay, so you don't even know when it converts.
Yes.
So you need to start opening more doors to find out who will open.
Okay.
So I'm giving you a number here. I'm giving you a number. Let us say you knocked at 20 doors, you got 1 interview. Now let me ask you the reverse question. If you wanted 4 interviews, how many doors should you open?
Okay, so 80.
Exactly. Now, believe me, I'm not saying this with any repetition in my mind. That is the science. Correct. You may start looking at how I should write, how I should call, what time I should call, what type of customer I should call, what is the designation of the customer I should call to improve that ratio from 1 in 20 to, let's say, 1 in 10 or 1 in 5 or something. Those are things that you need to constantly keep thinking. Okay? How I can improve those logic. It could be the type of customer. It could be the person, the type of people whom you are reaching out to. It could be the time of the day you're reaching out to. I mean, there is a science behind all these things. Do you know one thing? I just wanted to tell you, right? My mail rates, okay, the way I wrote mails, I used to send it even in the night, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, sometimes 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. I sent it. And there was some X response rates for all the mails that I wrote. But I figured out that when I use in Gmail, the send option send at 9 o'clock in the morning. Okay, 9 o'clock. Exactly at 9 o'clock. So I automated send at 9. I'm sleeping peacefully. The 9 o'clock mail is gone. It has more open rates because people are receptive to mails in the morning. Okay, they open all those mails first, whatever mails come up, they open and start. Any other time they're postponing it, they're looking at it later. So you need to think of what you can do within to improve your response rate. But as of date, okay, if you require 20 customers to get 1 interview, if you need 4, you need to do 80. That's it. Somebody was asking, somebody had another doubt. Can you come through this, please?
Yes, sir. Like you mentioned about basically about the B2C businesses. So what should be the strategy if it is a B2C business you explain more? What should be the strategy if it is a B2B business?
Exactly
limited
same.
and organized.
Boy, it changes no way. It changes no way. Deep Quanti Artificial Intelligence Labs is a B2B company. Okay. Even though Matrimony.com was a B2C company in telesales, it's a B2B company. We had finite number of customers. Okay. There are 180 banks, full stop, in India. And we needed to acquire customers here. We had a list of 180 customers. List. And we had a certain open rate. We were not known anywhere. Nobody knew us. Nobody knew us. Okay. Now, how we did sales, we needed to keep thinking ways of this thing, ways of getting the open rates. Okay. I mean, what we did, that's a separate session. Okay. So once we started identifying what opens doors, we would do more of that again and again and again. So for example, we would always send friend requests to the key member of the bank, okay? And then we will not pitch our product first at all. Because we knew the first we pitch a product, nobody is going to talk to us. So we wrote something which was relevant to what he has commented or speech or something. We would write a message on that. For example, just to give you a perspective, we knew this worked, right? So let us say it's a CIO of a bank and he just recently gave a speech on cloud computing, okay? We would pull that in and just congratulate him saying, okay, genuinely saying, okay, this is a point you made, he loved it, okay? No product pitch going on here, okay? So he responds, thank you, okay? And then we do some parlay, build a conversation, then we say, hey, by the by, we do this for you. Would you want to look? And it resulted in more opens. I'm not saying it is 100% hit, okay? But we knew, so therefore, one of the input criteria in Deep Quanti sales was number of customers in LinkedIn with whom we have had non-product related conversations each week. Do you know this? This was one of the most important sales input metric. So the sales teams have to come back and report, hey, I have made 4 new non-product related conversations this week. Right? That made sense. The moment that number went up, we knew that we will be able to open doors. We will be able to open more doors. We will be able to put our product pitch, and then we will be able to get a meeting for a POC and so on and so forth, right? So you need to sit and think. The most important point, as I was saying even in the previous case, was the input variable that has to be measured, okay? Most often is not apparent, it's not clear. Most often, I'm not talking about it in the general sense of the word. It is not apparent, it is not clear, okay? You need to dig deep. If you have gone through my first introductory lecture, I've given 3 examples. In all the 3 examples, the key variable that impacted your why was not apparent. People had to sit and think. In the case of, for example, the shoe store, the number of customers who tried at least 3 shoes each week mattered for sales. In the case of assisted matrimony, the number of customers who have at least X number of mutual matches was important. In XP Robotic Works, in franchise sales, the number of prospects who have made a site visit was important, right? When those numbers kept increasing, the sales or the final outcomes kept increasing. So the point I'm trying to say here is this. There are 3 points that I've made. Number 1, the X's that lead to your Y's are not apparent. They are not very clear. That is why somebody said that, it may not even be there. Okay, it may not even be there, right? So that was one of the questions that, I'm just telling you it is difficult, but it is easy to, it is difficult, but you need to find that out. First, so it is not apparent. Second, most times we would write it in an immeasurable form, right? That is, it is not lending itself to measurement, okay? And the last point, and this is a very, very important point, is we may not even know whether it has a direct impact on the target variable. For example, in the sales thing that I was telling you, the teams had to report number of non-product related conversations in LinkedIn. Who would have thought? Who would have thought this has the maximum impact on opening doors, right? Opening doors means I'm able to push my product for a review, okay? Sometimes we just don't push. We also figure out later on that sending your product pitch is the worst way to actually get an interview. Don't talk about your product. Talk about his problems, okay? And he's listening to you. Okay, then he says, oh, you have a product? Let me listen to it again, right? So the point is you need to figure out what those X's are, how to measure them correctly, and then see that it influences, it causes, it predicts, it matters to the Y variable that you're talking about. Have I answered your question, Karthi? And I think it was Gino. Gino, you asked the question, is it?
Yeah. So I understood. Can you explain a little bit about the last sentence regarding the LinkedIn? How you came to know that the LinkedIn message influence your sale?
Watch me. This is how. You have to be observant about all your successes, right? 1 or 2 successes that happen, you need to analyze it so threadbare. What could have worked? Would this have worked? Would this have worked? Would this have worked? Would that have worked? Would this have worked? Let me push. This looks more logical. Can I try this in the next week? Your team has to sit and start introspecting deeply. Okay, it is not apparent. Gino, please believe me, it is not apparent. If you're not going to put that thought, okay, with your few successes that you have, and of course, most importantly, talk to people. What is the trick that you are getting interviews? I am not. What do you do differently? Okay, go talk to them. Understand what they do. That is why these kind of sessions are important, right? You talk to successful companies. In fact, the most important question that I ask in sales, when or anything you want, okay, I always ask to describe in any interview, I ask them to describe how they succeeded. Initially, 2 minutes and all will be bullshit answers. Okay, they will all give you all kind of crap answers. Then you start digging. Okay, that happened. Okay, but can you tell me more? Can you tell me more? They will tell you secrets of how they succeeded. Okay, but you need to ask. You need to have time. You need to listen. Actually speaking, I have learned more about competition and more about success in interviews than any book. When I interview, all I'm asking is how does he function? How does he work? How is he successful? You know what? When he's able to articulate how he succeeds, I learn, and I've also got a good guy. A person who is not able to articulate how he is succeeding is possibly not going to succeed in your place also. Remember that too. Have I answered your Gino? Thank you. Any other question?
Thank you for that clarification, sir. So this is Karthik again. So actually, like after considering that your answer, sir, I have one more. Like I don't know, it is a threat or it is a myth. Like actually, that like when we are start like pitching to so many the company, when I am start increasing, I am getting from the market, the industry. We already done some like research. So that feedback what we got, like initially as a startup, we are like the same product what we have, like similar kind of product, some big company, maybe some giant company, they are already having in the industry and they have a like huge market share. So those people, what they are telling, if you initially, like approach to all the industry, like they may try to bundling you. So that bundling, I think, I'm meaning correctly, sir. Actually, they will try to, pull down or they will try to do something. You may not grow up. So that kind of things will happen. So initially you do with like some targeted company where this like higher giant people, they can't reach there. So like that kind of suggestions are coming, that how you are seeing that one. Can you throw your view in that one?
It is a very specific case. I don't want to, hijack the class time. Okay, and we also need to now look at some of the features, right? So I'm happy to talk to you on the sidelines about this question. But remember one thing, okay? There is absolutely no market in the world where a competition has not come with similar products and won over. Okay, there is absolutely no market. Absolutely no market. Example, Google was the 6th entrant in the search space. 6th, not first, not second, not third, not fourth, not fifth, 6th. With very little funds. It is still today a giant. Okay, you can take any industry, soap, shampoo, car. There is no market where a competition has come and upstaged the existing ones and stole the whole show. Okay, let us look at 1982. I don't know, 1982, you guys would know that there were only 2 cars in India, Ambassador and Fiat Rajas. Okay, they were the biggest market share. Maruti came and screwed the whole damn scenario out. Okay, so don't worry about people making you afraid of, that you are the 3rd entrant, 4th entrant, 5th entrant. People will gobble you up. Nothing like that. Don't worry about it. There are umpteen number of cases, right, where small companies have big time upstaged big companies, right? I mean, I could answer. In fact, Bharat Matrimony in 2008 was a 20% market share company. 20, but not even 20. It was lower than that. Okay, the big giant was Shaadi, very well funded. Where is all these companies now? They are not there. Shaadi is losing money for ages. Jeevansathi is dead. They have raised their white flag and run away. Okay, market share today, almost 70-75% of market share is with matrimony.com, right? Kevin Care, okay, which is the chick shampoo giant. He gave the run for the money for HUL, right? So don't worry about you being small and you having a product and others. A giant's job is to screw you. It is their dharma, okay, if you can understand that word. It is in their nature. It is their character. They will do it. Don't be afraid of it. They are doing their job to protect their interests. The question is, what are you doing to grow? Are you running away, emptying the field, or you're trying to find a small hole where that guy will not hit you? You have to think all those things. Don't worry too much. But as you saw, I'm already veered away from this conversation. I don't want to go there. This is a private conversation. You please call through the admin. We will have a talk. I will tell you 100 tricks of, first of all, 2 tricks of how not to listen to bad advice and 98 tricks on how to beat all of them. Don't worry about it. Yes, any other question?
Okay, thank you, sir.
Any other question?
Sir,
of input variable. Yes, Madan.
Like in the shoe shop case, the number of shoes, right, that's not very apparent, right? The X. So is there any, like, if I implemented a hit and trial method to identify the X's, is there any, like, chance that it will be more harmful to the company than useful?
Okay, it's a very good question. Do I need to keep hit and trial? I don't know what is working. But I think the more important point is, once you're setting up a particular process, right? Any process, let's say it's a new product development or a sales process, or, coming out with a MPV, very early on, once you started the process, it's extremely important to start looking at what is leading to success. Okay. You will know there are 3-4 items only. Okay. You will know. I mean, there is that internal thing that you will start knowing, okay, this is what is leading to success. That's because you are analyzing what is successful. See, one of the more important problems I note with young startup is they don't analyze what is leading to success. What causes success? They're happy. They've just gone, tried something which they think without thinking what are all the measures that they have taken to push in. And they are not analyzing while they are doing it. And once they have done it, whether it's a failure or positive, they don't sit, pause and think. Okay. They are all moving on to the next item in the world of flurry of activities. That is why I said, choose your battles very, very small, because only deep, a responsive thinking brings you success. I think that was something which we discussed in the last class, right? Unless you do deep thinking and problem solving approach to making all these things work. That is why I use those words. Multitasking means you're gone to the next problem. You're lost. Okay, this is not working. Let me do something else. No, think, deeply think. And then you will know. You will try one or two things, it will fail, but it is not going to be a series of trials which is all leading to some expensive mistakes. My experience tells me that in 3 months' time, maximum, you will more or less figure out what are the most important variables for success. The input variables, right? You will know. Without fail, you will know, but you must have worked your heart out in it, and you must have introspected a lot in it before, and you will know within 3 months, I guarantee. The other contra is also true. In 3 months' time, if you still don't know what is the X variable that is going to lead to your success, either you're not worked hard or you must quit entrepreneurship. It's not meant for you. Right? I mean, I would also say the other way, right? I mean, the other is also true, right? I mean, sometimes it is just not in our veins to do it, right? In 3 months, after working your balls off or your butt off, whatever language you want to say, if you still haven't figured out what are those small tricks that are going to lead to success, no, that doesn't work. Right? Okay. It will not be a several series of hit and trials, right? I know the initially 1 month we will not be like babe in the woods. Second month you will start figuring it out. Third month you will know definitely what is leading to success, and you will do more of that, provided you are able to understand the measurability construct. Any other question?
Hi sir, this is Akash from Kitab.
Yes.
So our product is a software product, and every 2 or 3 months or so, we try to release a new upgraded version of our software. So our targets that we kind of try to follow is, let's say, in 2 months from now, we want to release the next version of this product, and we need these features, 1, 2, 3, 4. We have a detailed list of features that we want to release in the next product. So what we have noticed is, we kind of set these targets for ourselves. In this week, we want to build this feature. In the next week, we want to build this feature. So then after 2 months, this whole product is going to be ready. But we've actually kind of noticed that we are never able to hit our deadlines, mainly because, we know on the front end what needs to be done, but there are so many back end challenges that we run into, and we have to spend a lot of time figuring out how to write the code and what kind of technicalities need to go behind writing the code. So we kind of miss our deadlines, and then maybe we are not very happy about it. So you think we should change our targets, or is there a different metric we need to track?
So here is my take on that. So your example where you told that I have this final product and I have a target of each week what features I need to release, right? This is exactly like Muruga's first example. Oh, we need to achieve 350 crores. We will do 1 crore each day and we are done. No, you've just broken down the goals into manageable chunks. That's all. Okay. Or perceivably manageable chunks. We still haven't figured out what leads to successful feature deliveries. Okay. That's the point that I want to bring in here. What leads to successful feature deliveries each week? So there are 2-3 questions. Okay, I'll go back to the weight loss program. Let us say you are 75 today and you want to reduce 20 kgs in 1 month. Is that possible?
No.
Yeah, exactly. Is 3 kilos possible?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. How about 6?
Maybe, not sure.
Maybe. Exactly. See, that is also the thing here which tells you where what goal is stretch appropriate, what goal is impossible, and what goal is very easy. So that is why that why has got a great bearing on how you choose things. For example, one of the teams have put in by August 21. I mean, one of the teams here has August 20. In 2 months, it is 0 now, and it is reaching to some 40 crores turnover in 2 months. 0 today. By August 21, it is reaching to 40 crores. Because anybody who does that, I want to sell my soul to them. Okay, because they are gods, actually. It is not possible to do, right? So first of all, Akash, I would always want you to think whether you are forcing yourself impossible targets. Second, for each of your feature releases overall, okay, what are the things you need to get done right? Okay, each week in measurable terms. Today looks to be immeasurable, but you need to sit and start thinking, what are the measurable things that I need to do each week? For example, you may need to run a compiler each 3 hours to figure out an error. Okay, if you're using a compiler-based programming language, I don't want you to unnecessarily assume that what is other languages, you don't need a compiler. So that your bugs are reduced and you can figure out your bugs early on. Okay. And then so that you don't run a compiler after 1 week or 10 days and it throws out bugs, you don't even know where to fix it, right? So the fixing time is gone. So you do chunks of smaller coding and smaller corrections over a period of time, you fix it, right? So number of bug tests run, okay? Number of alpha tests run, okay? Could be some of the metrics that are relevant to you. I don't know what. In your environment, you need to sit and figure this out. But you need to figure out what gets to successful releases. Okay, sit, think. What is the cause of a successful release? Successful release by the fact is that they are less bugs. Okay, or more features. Example, right? Whatever those are, you need to sit and think through that. What I can tell you is it's not impossible to do it. Yes. Any more? Any more question? Good. I'm at 1840. That's 6:40. I've got another 20 minutes. I would like to call upon certain teams to present. Okay, the presentation. I want just a presentation by the team. I want rest of the teams analyzing that presentation. Please remember, that's what I want, right? So the presenting team just need to speak about it. I don't want the teams to do it. Blink, growth hacking PDF. Can you start, please? Got 2 minutes to present, and the rest of the team can respond in 7 odd minutes. Respond to it. Go ahead. Remember, here we are only talking about the whys. Remember, the quality of the whys is this. It is from here to where, by what time. Okay. And what is your super goal? What are the 3 alpha goals? What are the 10 things that you do today? And why do you think these 3 are the major things that would lead to that question? Go ahead.
1 minute, sir.
Blink, please put your PPT. Please present your PPT. And
yeah, 1 minute, 1 minute.
Yeah, I would like rest of the team, please note, I want you to answer, I want you to question this, right?
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see your screen. I think you need to push the presentation button.
Okay.
Present. It's on the right bottom, no? Yeah.
Madan, should I present?
Okay.
Okay, this is okay.
Okay, yeah.
This is okay. Go on.
So this is our major goal, our main why, reaching 40 crore evaluation in 2 years, and so the stuff we are doing right now is working on like level 2 of the prototype and like integrating new mechanisms and like making the device. We are actually trying to make our device integrable with smartphones so that we can avoid
Can you just in 2 seconds tell also the people what you are, because they won't otherwise understand what this is, right? So
yeah. So Blink is we try to make a device which will be able to convert soft content and hard content into Braille and display it on a refreshable Braille display, so that like people like research scholars and many visually impaired people will be able to access all the content in Braille. That is Blink. And currently, these are the stuff we are doing right now. We are working on our prototype level 2 and we are trying to make our device integrable with smartphones and trying to increase the response time. And looking for deals with the ebook, ebook houses to give us to convert the books into Braille language. So these are our 3 ways. Finish the prototype stage 5 by this year, December 2021, and come up with a minimum viable product in 3 months. And since it's integrable to smartphone, it will be working on with the help of a smartphone app. We are trying to finish the smartphone app by December 21. And this is our main why, 0 to 40 crores in 2 years. And we are we are planning to have 0 to 5 deals with ebook companies in 1 year, and along with at least 15 quotations and connections in 1 year. Okay, this is why our minimum viable product will help us to get more customers and help us with customer discovery, and it will help us to further get people for working on app development, and more customers implies that we'll be able to fix the bugs in our apps and integrate it more with
okay, I think that's fine. Team, please respond. Please ask questions. Please respond. I'm just looking at your this thing. You can ask questions.
Madan Kumar, this is Karthikeyan from Nikato.
Yeah.
So I'm having when you are expecting your first sale?
Okay, so we are planning to start sales as soon as we have a minimum viable product. That is in 3 months.
Okay, so actually you mentioned within a next 1 year period you will make 5 deals. So that is like a target you mentioned. Suppose
Hold on. Team. We are not evaluating his plan. Okay, please remember that's not the goal. The goal is to check 3 things. 1, the wise chosen are most likely to lead to the most important things that will lead to the achievement of the super goal, which is written in the red. Okay. Second, are the alpha wise written in the correct format? Okay, that is from here to there by what time? Okay. This is the second part of the evaluation. Third part of the evaluation is, of all the 100 things that you're doing, which should have been a list, why you think these 3 are the ones that you have chosen the highest? Okay, the most important. This is your evaluation, nothing else. Don't evaluate anything else. So here is my first response. For example, if your valuation, can you go to the second slide?
Yeah.
If your valuation you require is 40 crores in 2 years, right? Go to the third slide, please.
Yeah.
No, sorry, fourth slide. Your goal number Y2, okay, will more than reach this goal. Okay, now if you are going to do 40 crores in 2 years, your valuation possibly will be 5 times, 10 times this. That means you will actually overshoot your valuation by 400 crores. Okay. Back to 400, 500 crores will be the valuation possibly by this, right? I mean, just this one thing alone will let you know. But the point is, possibly you don't even have a product to sell. That is why you have written Y1.
Yeah.
Okay. So your Y1 is conditional upon to Y2. That means this Y1 is actually an X2 Y2 as of now.
Okay, yeah.
Correct. So your Ys are not, first of all, independent of each other. Right? Am I getting this? So your Y1, Y2 and Y3 are not independent goals.
Okay.
Your Y2 can happen, only Y1 can happen. So that means it is actually an X for the Y2.
Okay, yeah.
Right? That's the first observation. Second observation is increase ebook industry deals from 0 to 5 in 1 year. Okay. Is this different from 0 to 40 crores 2 year sales? I mean, or is it restating this in a different way? I mean, I don't even know. I don't understand how.
Actually, we are trying to convert soft content also into Braille, right? So we need the help of ebook industries to actually access soft content. So it's different from our actual sale. It's a deal we make to actually convert the ebook content to Braille.
So the sales 0 to 40 crores is from the Y1 product.
Yeah.
Which is a physical product. Physical book.
Yeah.
And Y3 is an ebook. Correct?
So it's not like the Kindle, Amazon Kindle type. So first you pay for the Amazon Kindle. And then for the books you pay extra.
Good. But do you have a product already ready for it?
No, sir. We are working on the prototype. We don't have a product.
Y2, Y3, even though they are independent to each other, okay. So you need to you need to write your X's in line with that. Okay. But your X1 is good for the Y3. Increase the number of quotations and industry connections from 0 to 15. At least it's good, not excellent, good. Okay. Are my comments clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I will take to the next one. Can Earthen Tunes put up the slides and respond, please?
Yes, sir. I'll just. Is my screen visible?
Yeah, screen is visible. Please go ahead.
So our larger goal is we want to sell 1 lakh shoes in the next 18 months. And
hold on, team, respond. Is this the good goal to have? Is it a good super goal? Or is it alpha Y?
We need to look into the reason before.
Yeah. But on the look of it, well, this doesn't look like a larger goal. It actually looks like a good alpha Y to me. I mean, worthy of being an alpha Y. Okay, go ahead.
So we have a list of activities which are contributing to this goal. Okay, I'll just give a background about our company. So we are Earthen Tunes. We are making footwear for farmers. So we have started production. In fact, we have produced our first 1,000 units of shoes, and we are in the process of selling them. So that is where we are, and we just commenced our sale as well through just e-commerce as of now. So there are a lot of activities which we are doing for this. We are also trying to raise funds for our next production run. For now, we just have been seed funded by IT. So as we are trying to sell footwear to farmers, we are trying to find the right channels where we can sell it. For example, farmer produce organization, government, and such things. On the other end, we are also seeing how we can standardize our whole marketing supply chain. For example, one of the ways we are seeing is can we get a steady supply of raw material? We are also looking at whether we can ensure a smooth delivery to the consumer of our product. And some other things such as setting up a warehouse, setting up offline stores. And of course, we are also working on our next range of footwear, which is Snakebite and another footwear range for women. So out of these three, these are the 3 Ys we picked up. One is we want to sell our 1,000 units by 20th August.
Where are you now?
We have sold 100 units, sir.
So that you need to write from here to where. That's the important part of your why. Okay?
Okay, sir.
We 100 units right now. You are going to go to 1,000 units by 2021. Possible?
Yes, sir. It is possible. Okay. Yes. Second thing is we are also looking to raise 2 crores funding for our next phase of our company timeline. Such things as setting up. As I said, it contributes to few of the Ys here also.
Yeah. Go back.
Yes.
Is this a good why, or is it a super goal? No, come down, please. Come down. Yeah. Raise 2 crore funds by 1st September. Is this a good alpha Y? Team, you can all respond.
I think it will be based on the first Y, raising the amount will be based on the selling performance.
Possible. I mean, I understand whoever said that it's a good way, but I'm just looking at the way this is written. Is this a good goal? Is this a good alpha Y? The way I would write, I've forgotten the team name.
Earthen Tunes, sir.
Earthen Tunes. The way I would write this is by saying, what is your current share capital and where do you want to take it to?
Acha.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
That is one way.
Any reason, sir? Like we are looking.
You see, the point you must understand is share capital is only one way of doing your business. Okay.
Okay.
Sales itself is going to give you cash, right? So what you have to understand is what are you looking at? You need working capital funds and you need capital for certain activities. Correct?
Yes.
So in some sense, you are looking at funds. Your fund is today this, you want to take it to this by this time.
Right.
Incidentally, raising your stock equity is only one option. You could even raise debt.
That's right. Yes.
Right? So your idea should be actually to look at the core function, not raising funds. Raising funds is only a mechanism of it. Okay, now let's say of going from this point to this point, 2 crores by share is an important goal. Let us say. I mean, want to say that. And you will actually start looking at what will be the input metrics for this 2 crores funding. Okay.
Achha.
Then you need to look at what will guide to 2 crores input funds. Right?
But sir, the overall, the alpha Y doesn't have 2 crores in its terminology, right? We are only talking about the share capital. So would those things equate or would they be relatable?
Yeah, very much relatable. See, understand one thing.
Yes, sir.
Okay, is a goal. Dieting is a goal.
Right.
Right? Or slimming is a goal. Okay? That gets converted into an alpha by when we say, I am 75 today, I need to reach 65 in 4 weeks.
Right.
Okay? So getting 2 crore fund is your slimming or that kind of a goal. Okay? It is still not in that format from here to where.
Right. Okay.
Okay, only when you write from here to where would you know what are all the input metrics also that goes into it. The moment you write, I'm 75 today, I'm going to go to 45. Okay? The severity of that tells you the choice of the excess that you want. Remember all those things again and again, right?
So let's just, if I can just give just an example for our startup itself. Let us say I want to go from a share capital of 4%, which is diluted, to 12%, something like that.
That is one way of conceptualizing. I would go by absolute terms. Okay, this is the working capital I have in this month.
Right.
This
okay.
Capital I have in this month, or free flowing capital I have this month.
Okay.
To take it to this much by this period.
Okay.
Right. Out of which then your investment raising is only one component of it.
Right. Yeah, we also have revenue from sales.
Yeah, exactly. Now you're thinking, right? I mean, raising 2 crores is not a goal. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of startups get mired into this kind of, catchwords.
Right, sir.
Okay, because everybody is talking about it. That is the problem. In fact, there was a lot of questions I have raised about why certain firms, in fact, Matrimony.com, I was vocally against going for IPO. I said, why should it go to IPO? Who wants an IPO? But it still went because there are other reasons which are nothing to do with the company, right?
Right.
Reach out to 1 lakh farmers and 50,000 urban customers by 1st of December.
So this
is all tied to your super goal. That is the other question that I have.
Yes, sir. It is tied to our super goal.
And also, you have not written what you have today, right? Remember, how many farmers have you reached today?
Sir, actually, that is that's a fair point. There are limitations as of now. We couldn't find out because most of the marketing we have done has been through newspapers.
Right. I don't understand reach. Okay.
So can I?
Because it is not a clear number to me. It cannot be verified by anyone.
Sir, can I elaborate on this a bit?
Yeah, sure.
So this is very relevant to what you said before, where another group asked the question where the conversion rate, like let us say you call 100 people and you get probably 1 or 2 hits.
Bro, wait. 100 I can count.
Okay, sir.
Converted, I can know.
Right.
It has converted.
Right.
You can never verify this number. 1 lakh farmers have been reached. You can never verify it. You put up an ad. It is your assessment that 1 lakh farmers would have seen it. But that's all bull crap. We don't work like that.
Okay.
That is completely hocus. Don't even think that, this will all get to your numbers. No way. No way. This is complete hocus. What you cannot measure is not a goal. You have to measure it, not guess. This is complete guess, no, bro.
at the channel that we have right now, the kind of PR agency, it might seem like that. But let us say tomorrow we start talking to FPOs. FPOs is like thousands of farmers coming together.
Oh yeah. Now you're talking. So you should actually convert that to registered farmers, opt-in farmers,
right?
Who have logged into your app, farmers.
Okay.
Those are good numbers. Those are measurable. I can count them. Nobody has got a doubt. Otherwise, just your claim.
No, sir. Actually, I meant the tangible one only. Maybe it wasn't conveyed.
Yeah, fine. That is why I said I didn't understand the word reach.
No, fair enough.
Okay, that's why you need to start writing the variables that you can measure unequivocally. Nobody should have a doubt. Okay, this is what it is. So, for example, you can say number of farmers who have downloaded your app, 1 lakh downloads. I am fine with it. Or 1 lakh farmers who have attended your meetings. I am fine with it.
Sir, I have a doubt here. Let us say we are still not sure about how we are going to reach the farmers. So we are looking at multiple channels through which we are looking to reach farmers. Like one is through FPOs, others could be cold calls, other could be website hits. So wouldn't this be a good why to take as of now, and the other ones come in the X?
See, this Y itself cannot be measured. No, you are not able to. You can't even count it. Between the 2-3 partners you will have doubts whether this number is right. Nobody can prove you have achieved this number, boy. You can only guess.
So let us say I have multiple channels, sir. So for example,
doesn't matter whether you have multiple 1, 10 channels. I'm not worried about your channels. That is going to influence this number. All I'm asking is, how do you know for sure this number is reached? That's my question.
Sir, so can you tell how we can reframe this? I'm still, my doubt.
So for example, I'll tell you, for example, in matrimony.com, advertise heavily in TV.
Okay.
The advertisers. In fact, there is no channel in which matrimony.com ads don't come. Okay. There is a huge science in advertising which talks about reach. It talks about how many audience has been reached, and all those things are there. In fact, routinely there are companies like Bark and other people who will publish this to you. People have been reached in this program, and so many people. We don't care 2 hoots for all those things. We just don't care. The only number that we are bothered about is number of registrations on our site. If that number doesn't go through, we drop our process. We just don't take it. Advertisement money has to go into the channel where an outcome is measured. Okay. From free registrations, we convert into paid conversions later on because it's a freemium model. But at least I know what I need to achieve. For example, you could as well say, my sales of 100 to 1,000 units is contingent upon, I having 0 meetings now to 10 meetings with an average 1,000 farmers who are, attending it. I'm fine with that because you can count the number of farmers as an input variable.
Right. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Anything that you cannot count without doubt. Without doubt. Nobody should have a question on your Y's or X's. It is measured, and anybody measuring it should come to the same conclusion. Yes, this has happened. Then you see how your numbers grow.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Good. Sorry, I'm only commenting. I'm very sorry about it. Nandini ma'am, can I take one more? So sorry.
Yeah, sir. One more, sir.
It's time to close it on time, but I'm so sorry. Can I take one more?
Yeah, one more, sir. One more is.
One more is fine. Okay. Team, do I have your permission to take one more? Or you guys want to quit?
It's fine, sir.
It's fine. Okay. Kitab. Can I get Kitab? yes, Gaurav, the passion guy.
Yes, sir. I'll share my screen.
Yes.
So are you able to see the screen?
Yes.
The presentation is on?
Yes, I'm able to see it.
Yeah. So we have set an overarching goal for us to reach a valuation of 5 crore. As of today, we're at 0. And this we want to do by August 2022. So some of our alpha Ys that are associated with this overarching goal are the first one is to complete 400 customer interviews by May next year.
Gaurav, you need to just inform others what you're doing so that
right. Yeah, so Kitab is a document reading tool for anyone who reads academic documents or needs to study from documents that they read digitally. So as of now, Kitab's a PDF reader, and we're trying to service the academic industry, which includes professors, students, and research scholars. Yeah, so that's about our product. So yeah,
it is an app that reads a document, correct?
It's an app.
Converts into voice, right?
No. So it's a document reader, as in like a software that you use to interface with the document.
Okay, that means
like PowerPoint. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It is digitizing.
Okay. So the first alpha is to complete 400 customers.
Gaurav, I just wanted to understand, why is this a challenge? I mean, document readers are some very, very fundamental technology now, right? I mean, especially a PDF reader.
Yes, sir. So what happens is, normally when you think about studying, right, like there are ways in which we interact with a book, like a physical book. Like navigation is something that's very...
You told me. Correct.
Yeah. So do you want me to elaborate on that? Or?
Yeah, go ahead. No. Just go to your whys.
Yeah. So first...
Hello? We lost you, Kitab.
We're towards the end of the product development cycle, and these sort of interviews will help us not only fine tune the product, like finally, but also sort of help us in strategizing on how we go to market and what kind of sales strategy we use. And this is directly contributing to the whole overarching goal of reaching that valuation. More than that, we also feel that these customer interviews that we conduct, like initially it would help us develop these personal connections with potential customers. So that automatically, converts to like a massive lead generation through word of mouth networks. So that's our first alpha Y.
Now, is this written in the right Y way, Gaurav?
Yeah, so I think I missed what it is at today.
Yes.
Right.
From here to where?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. So as of now, we have done about 30 of these.
Now go ahead.
So our second alpha is to rework user flows and aesthetics for these current features. So I've listed the features, and we've not redesigned any of them as of today. And this we want to complete by January 2022. We believe that this is important because from all the feedback that we've gotten from customers, we strongly believe that carrying out this exercise is going to increase their affinity toward the product.
This looks like slimming.
Okay.
This is not weight reduction from 75 to 65.
So I didn't catch that.
See, this is not in the typical wide definition concept. Okay, from here to where.
Okay.
So this is See, remember that simple example, right? Simple example. In the center, we had that idea called slimming. Okay. Slimming is a goal. It's a good goal. This slide reads like that, slim. Okay. But on the left side, where if you remember that chart, Y was defined as weight. Right now you are 75. I need to come to 55. For that, diet and exercise are the input variables. Correct? I eat 100 calories every day. I'm going to bring it down to 50 by this week. I work out 0 hours every day. I'm going to start walking 1 hour, 1.5 hours, 2 hours, or workout or whatever by this week. Okay. That becomes your X.
Right.
These are constructed and measured each week. Okay, is what is going to deliver your results. What I've written here is typically you need to fix it like a Y.
So basically, what we need to think about is how we can quantify this process.
Exactly. What is not quantified cannot be measured. What
right. So regarding this,
cannot be influenced.
Right. So what happened was, while writing this, I actually did check up some metrics to sort of rate your UX and things like that. But the problem is most of these are very subjective and based on customer reviews and some calculated scores.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Doesn't matter, but they are still measures, right?
Yeah.
Wrong initially. It may not be an exact measurement, but sometimes it works. I always measurement tools have errors. For example, you can measure a distance between point A to point B through an atomic scale, through a foot ruler, or you can measure it through an inch tape. All of them have their own errors. Okay, but a tailor is happy measuring it through an inch tape, even though it has a lot of error. Okay, but you couldn't fly a rocket without measuring it on a precision scale like an atomic scale. Okay. So the point I'm trying to say is your goal determines what wise measuring techniques you choose. Most of the beginning wise are all fine if you chose it bit okay here and there. But you have to still choose it in the measurement formats.
Right. Yes.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, next.
And the last one is to reach a total of, there's a typo here. This should be 2022. So to reach a total of 60,000 monthly active users by June next year from a current pool of 50 active users. So
excellent. Current is 50. You need 60,000.
Yeah, this is by next June.
This is the best way I have seen till now. This is the best.
And
it as a typo. I'm just ignoring the typo. It is the best way it is written. From current pool of whatever, 50 users to 60,000 by June 2021 is the best way to write it. But you must understand, is it something like weight loss in 2 weeks from 75 to 35? Okay. Please remember, sometimes we take goals which are too tough to work on, right? So you need to look at these things. But this is one of the better written goals. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Next, is there anything else?
No, sir. So we did these 3.
Good. Okay. So I'm fine with it. So here is the exercise for the next week. Now, this is not on a PPT. I want it in an Excel. The way it will go on an Excel is this. You will take an Excel, put 3 sheets, goal 1, goal 2, goal 3. Okay. On the top, you're going to put week 1 till whatever time period you've taken. It could be month 1 to 12 months or week to, 52 weeks, 60 weeks, I don't know. That's the first row. Second, you write your Y on the second row. What is today, week 1? For example, in this case, what he was telling you was 20 actual users going to 60,000 users over next 12 months, right? Or 52 weeks. What should it go each week? 60, 100, 150, 200, blah, 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 till 6,000. Then you need to write now your X's. X1, X2, X3, X4, I don't care how many X's you write, I don't mind. What are they today? And establish a relationship that if you achieve the change in X, you will achieve the change in Y. Remember the properties of X's. They are completely in your control. Completely, totally in your control. If you change the X from point A to point B, you will definitely see a change in Y from point A to point B. Okay? You can take as many X's you want, clearly define it, prove to me that it will impact the Y, okay, and do it for your 3 alphas that you have chosen. So people who have not correctly formulated the Ys also have a chance of correcting it this time, right? Remember, Y should be written clearly as this to this, and then you will have your X's. Currently this, progressively what? So you are going to come back next week by Saturday 10 o'clock, an Excel sheet that tells you the plan of output variables and input variables over 3 sheets. And you got to clearly define your X's and Y's in measurable form. Prove to yourself that X leads to Y. Am I clear in my output sheet, please? What I'm expecting on Saturday at 10 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay, one more thing. The next class, people who will present first, because I don't have much to present from hereafter. I just need to look at. There are very few input lectures. The input lectures more on how to build measurable scorecards and how to build a cadence, how to build review systems and so on and so forth. That we can do, not a problem at all. So we have sufficient time for review. The next class, I will be looking forward to opening discussion with teams that I have not spoken. Okay, who have not had a time to present. For example, QuickRest, Jalraksh, or teams like that, which I have neither had the time to look through today because they were late in presenting or late in sending in, and I've also not had the time to interact with. So next few will be all those groups which are trying to, sort of hide in the workshop, right? So I will bring them all out and I will be discussing with them, right? Any questions before I wind down?
Sir?
Yes. Yes, Jubilee.
Sir, good evening, sir. Thank you for this interesting session. Like, as a beginner, to be frank, we have very little knowledge about, these people are telling 4 million, 40 million valuation. Like, we have no idea how these guys have come up with these numbers. And getting a sales target is comparatively measurable and easy for us to understand. But coming up with a measurable valuation, we are still struggling to find it. We have no idea how to do it. Can you have a small comment on that?
Just a ballpark number. Okay. If you took in the initial stages some 10 multiple on your sales, okay, you would be right in your expectations of your valuation.
Okay.
You will be safe. Let me put it that way. Of course, it depends upon industry, it depends upon category. A lot of things are there. But my ballpark, because you're asking for a thumb rule, I'm just giving you a thumb rule. Okay. You will uncover the real way of valuation only as you progress. But don't worry. In the initial stages, a 10 multiple is not a bad multiple.
Yes. And sir, can I ask one more question?
Yes.
Sir, actually, as a startup, we are working on multiple projects. Like we have successfully completed 2 prototypes, and we are working, looking forward for the 3rd one. So, in the typical definition of a startup, actually, we are working on so many things, and it's not a kind of a disordered way. But we are trying to place our company in such a way that we develop R&D products for automotive companies.
Jubi, you don't have to place if you have numbers to talk.
Okay.
Only when you don't have numbers to talk, you'll have to tell a story, okay, which person has to listen, correct? Don't be in that situation.
Okay, understood.
Let the numbers speak.
Sure.
Right. Okay. Any other question, please? Awesome. Really appreciate the teams that have been around, and thank you very much. Unless there are anything significantly differing, thank you, Nandini ma'am. Thank you, Rohit. Rohit, I think, was there until some time, and thank you everyone here who have participated. Hope I'm making a difference to you. I'm trying my level best to change your internal wirings on how to look at it. I again have to, at the close, only say one thing. Because the last class this came up, and I thought I have not answered that sufficiently. I know how passionate you are about your entrepreneurship. Okay, how passionately you're working towards creating a product of great value to some others. Right? I'm not wanting you to look. I'm not wanting you to defocus from your passion. I'm saying look at this execution excellence as a way to carry that passion to thousands of people, millions of people across the globe, right? Look at it that way. If your passion is not visibly delivering value to people, okay, or by, let us say, by way of sales or by way of, delivering value to people, it will stay to be a passion, and that's such a sad thing, right? A great idea in your heart and possibly in your startup room, but it is not seeing the value it should in the hands of customers, right? Look at it that way. My goal is to make that internal wiring change, right? So that you're able to look at measured metrics and techniques to go there, right? Execution excellence is all about understanding measures, metrics, and action programs that will lead you to success. With that, I thank you very much for this, patiently listening to the second session. I really, really appreciate some of you guys have done a phenomenally good job in your presentation. Some of them needs to get, this thing, some tinkering needs to be done. But, be rest assured, even for very good teams, it takes at least about 2 to 2.5 months, 3 months to understand this concept and ingrain it inside the company. Okay, we are just 2 weeks old. I mean, possibly not even 2 weeks. In fact, there's just 1 week between the first lecture and the second lecture. You guys, for that amount of input and thought process, you guys are doing phenomenally well. I mean, I really, really appreciate, because it is not easy construct. Looks very easy, but only when you start thinking about it, you see how difficult it is, right? So as I said, at the end of the 4 weeks, you should be sufficiently equipped to look at execution as a science, not some mystical thing which you're trying to do hit and trial, right? You should have sufficient wherewithal and target to do it. With that, thank you very much to all of you. Catch you on the next session. That is the third session. The Excel output that is required. Excel output is due on Saturday, 10 o'clock. If you send in, I'll be able to think through, convert my lecture, and also provide some valuable feedback in the middle, right? But if you are too late, I will not be able to read through it and give you some feedback while I'm on the lecture, right? So please hit Saturday, 10 o'clock. You got a lot of time to work on this. It's not a short time. Please hit it by Saturday time, 10 a.m. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
The recording has stopped.